Alright everyone, happy Friday. We are almost to the weekend. You have survived your first week back after the break. We are doing the last little bits of measurements. I forgot to do this yesterday, so we're going to go ahead and you can add it to your book just right after you finish that information that you already had. It's significant figures. Now, with significant figures, these are going to be those important numbers. When people do labs and we get results and stuff, people are like, what number do you want us to round to? Do you want us to do 1 decimal place or 2? Well, significant figures help you figure that out. In high school chemistry, we don't really emphasize it too much, but in college, I know they definitely emphasize a lot and make sure that they have it down. So these are important numbers. Now, there are rules, but the rules, you can write them down and they're still not going to make sense. I found that when we did our significant figure worksheet, the examples are what saved people when it came time for the worksheet and the test. So we're going to look at examples. So anything that is not a 0 is important. It's significant. So if we have 701, well, the 7 and the 1 are important, and we have this rule called the sandwich rule. That means that this 0 is sandwiched between important numbers, which makes it important. So that means that there are 3 important numbers. Now, what if we had 70.2? Well, the 7 and the 2 are both important. That guy's sandwiched, so it's still going to be 3. So all 3 of them are important. What about if we have 0.002? Now, I will say that this is an actual rule, and I don't know why, I don't make the rules, but anything like this, any zeros to the left, don't count. We ignore them. So the only one that matters is this one right here because he is not a 0. So anything like this doesn't count. Now, what about if we had 100? Well, these guys are just placeholders and they're not as important. This guy isn't a 0, so he's important. We can't count these, so it's only 1. Now, what if we did 100 and then put a decimal behind it? That changes things. Decimals are weird in this situation, but this guy makes it important. So that means that all 3 of these are important because of that decimal. So there are going to be 3. Now I'm going to have one that is 0.00202. Okay, well remember these beginning ones, they don't count. But this one counts and this one counts. And remember, this 0 is sandwiched, so he counts. So this is 3. And then there's one more rule that is weird. You have 0.00200. Okay, remember these beginning zeros don't count. This does. This guy counts. He is not a 0. Now, what about these zeros after him? For whatever reason, the rule says that these following zeros do count. They do count, and so that means that it would be 3. This is a rule. I don't know why they do it that way, but they do. So the front ones don't matter. The following ones, if it follows a number, they do count. Now, what if you had a 1 up here? If you had a 1.00200. Okay, well this is important. This is important. They're sandwiched. These 2 zeros are sandwiched between. And then we have these following zeros. So that means 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of them would be important, significant figures. So those are your significant figures. Now, make sure you put this into your notebook, your little mini notebook, your review one, your midterm review notebook that you're making. And then make sure that you complete the significant figure and density worksheet. Now, the density, y'all have this formula. We put it into our book yesterday. So make sure that you have it. There's your formula. Make sure you remember how to use the circle. If you're looking at density, it's mass over volume divided. If you're looking for a volume, it's mass over density, so divide. And if you're looking for mass, density times volume. Side by side, you multiply. So go ahead and do that practice. And make sure you submit it.